If the emperor of the Roman Empire needed stillness to lead, what makes you think grinding 24/7 is the answer to your anxiety? So, have you ever had those moments where the noise finally stops? No work, no notifications, no one is calling your name, but just stillness. And instead of peace, you feel panic. Like the silence is too much. Like almost like if you stop moving, even for 1 second, everything might fall apart. Yeah, let's talk about that. Hey man, I'm Kyle. I'm a master NLP practitioner and a master success coach for men just like you. Men who are tired of performing and ready to start leading their lives with purpose. And today, I want to talk about one of the most important and probably really one of the most uncomfortable skills a man can actually learn: stillness. Not just, not just slowing down, not just relaxing, but really sitting with yourself, with your thoughts, with your feelings, with your patterns, right? No fixing, no scrolling, no distraction, just you. And I get it. You know, that might sound like it's not that powerful, but trust me, it is. So I have spoken about stillness in almost every one of my previous videos, and I will continue to speak about it because it really is that important, right? So I want to talk about Marcus Aurelius for a minute. So Marcus was a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher. Now, guess what he used to do? He practiced daily reflection and journaling, and his meditations are still studied today. He saw stillness not as, something passive, but as really the foundation for disciplined action. He has a famous quote: You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, a Roman emperor knew the benefits of stillness and really sitting with yourself. Now, maybe you've been asking yourself, Kyle, why does it even matter? Right? Well, despite the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, he also practiced self-examination, calmness and non-reactivity, right? He sat with his thoughts every day to manage his impulses and to really lead with wisdom, right? I mean, if it was good enough for him, who am I to say that it's useless, right? So I have found the benefits myself of practicing this. And really we have all been taught from a young age that action is power, that movement, hustle, um, strategy, execution, things like that. Stillness was viewed as, a waste of time for most people. But I'm going to tell you, through my learning and following important and strong leaders, I learned that really stillness is what makes those things work, right? Because if you don't know how to sit with yourself, you'll never learn how to lead yourself. So let me break this down for you, right? So most of the men that I work with have one thing in common, right? Even if they don't see it at first, which they rarely do. So they're always moving, right? They're always going somewhere, but they're hardly ever present. They're grinding, they're building, they're providing, they're protecting, right? But inside there's this chaos. There's resentment. There's fear that if they slow down, they're going to lose everything. So they just keep moving, right? They keep doing, they keep avoiding. And they're avoiding the parts of themselves that they don't want to feel, you know? So avoiding that quiet voice that says, you're tired, you're not okay, you're not proud of how you've been living. And that avoidance, it eventually shows up everywhere else in their life, right? In their relationships, they get reactive. In their work, they'll get burned out. In their health, they stay stuck in that stress mode, wondering why nothing changes. But you have to understand, none of that changes until you learn how to stop running. Um, you know, Another powerful and highly suspected man that comes to mind is Bruce Lee, a martial arts and a philosopher. So Bruce practiced daily meditation, breath work, and emotional mastery, right? Beyond his physical skill, Bruce Lee was deeply philosophical. He believed that calmness and adaptability were more powerful than brute force. And he's really right. So he had a quote, "Be like water, my friend." And it's it's really one of his most famous quotes, and it's rooted in stillness and presence. He often practiced standing meditation to feel rooted before fights or filming. So Bruce Lee wasn't just fast, he was empty. He moved from stillness. That's why he was really unstoppable. So let me ask you something, right? When was the last time that you actually sat with yourself? Like really sat. No phone, no music, no podcast, no planning for tomorrow, right? Just you, your breath, your body, and your thoughts, right? So most men have no idea how to do this. And that's the problem. Because in silence is where, the truth lives. So I want to take this a step further and really look at the power of stillness. Okay. So stillness is what reveals the patterns that you've been avoiding, right? Stillness is what shows you why you keep ending up in the same loops, why you're anxious even when nothing's wrong, why you keep attracting the same kind of relationship or having the same kind of conflict in your current relationship, right? Why your confidence fades the second you walk out the door. Because in in stillness there's no performance. There's no audience. There's just you. And that's terrifying if you've spent your whole life trying to outrun yourself. But here's the paradox, right? Stillness is the very thing you've been avoiding. It's exactly where your power lives, which that brings me to Buddha, right? A spiritual warrior of the mind. So he practiced deep meditation under the Bodhi tree until, he got enlightenment. Buddha was a prince who walked away from wealth to find truth. He sat one time in stillness for 49 days, facing every discomfort, desire, and an illusion. And he came out of that awakened, right? His stillness changed the world, literally the world, right? His teachings form the basis of mindfulness that are used by modern leaders, CEOs, and even therapists and coaches like me, right? Understand that the man who influenced billions didn't fight for control. He sat until he knew who he truly was. So when you learn how to sit with yourself, you stop being reactive. You stop you stop losing your center. You stop needing everyone else to behave perfectly so you can feel okay. So, like if you become anchored because you felt your own stormed and learned how to stay, let me tell you what happens. So the first time most men try this, right? They sit down and after about 30 seconds they want to leave. Okay? They'll feel uncomfortable in their own body. Their thoughts will start spinning. They feel tight in their chest, in their jaw, in their stomach. And the first thing their brain says is, "This is stupid," right? "I don't have time for this. I'll do it later." And I know that's what you're thinking because I had the same thoughts when I first started this, right? I was talking to myself more about how stupid and woo-woo this was, and why was I even doing it? It's a waste of time, right? But I want you to understand it's not stupid. It's actually quite powerful. So I sat there and the longer I sat, I started to feel something stirring inside of me, right? Something that I had never felt before because I had really never given my body a chance to feel it. And that resistance and those thoughts to get up, right? That's exactly what you need to face because that's the part of you that's been running the show all along, right? So let's talk about how to sit with yourself, right? So how you actually do this, okay? It's pretty simple. And it's normally means, simple normally means easy, but this isn't easy, okay? So just start with 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes a day. No distractions. Just sit. Sit with your back straight, your feet planted, hands resting on your lap, and just breathe through your nose. Slow, deep, no music, no affirmations, no trying to, that feel positive, right? Just observe. Pay attention to your body, to your breath, and to your thoughts. So if something uncomfortable does come up, let it. If you feel an emotion rising within you, don't stop it. If your thoughts get loud, don't fight them. Just just notice them and ask yourself, what is my body trying to show me right now? What have I been avoiding that's asking to be seen, right? Where am I not being honest with myself? That's a big one, okay? So let the answers come. Don't force them, okay? Stillness reveals what you've buried. And really when you can face it, you can finally start leading your life from truth, not from tension.
Hey, just a brief interruption from your video to tell you about a fantastic opportunity. Do you ever feel like you're doing the work, but nothing's actually shifting? Like you're journaling, meditating, watching all the videos, but still circling the same patterns. It's not because you're broken. It's because the shift doesn't happen in isolation. You don't need more information. You need activation. The Inner Shift Society is the space where that happens. Two 1 hour calls a month live on the second and fourth Tuesday. One call to learn and one call to coach. For just $17 a month, you're not just joining a group, you're stepping into momentum. We get into real work. This is belief rewiring. This is about nervous system work, decision making, identity, and ownership. Now, this would normally cost you $500 for 2 hours with me. I'm not going to make you pay $500 though. I'm offering this because I want to help and reach more people that know there is something more. People like you. And you just don't know where to start. This this is your entry point. You're one shift away from who you've been trying to become. This is your space to make it real. Come join other like-minded people much like yourself. Click the link in the description and join us inside the Inner Shift Society. And now, back to our video.
So you're probably wondering, how does this, tie into masculine leadership, right? Because, you know, if you can't sit with yourself, you'll never be able to hold space for your woman when she's emotional. You'll never be able to lead your business with clarity when pressure rises, right? You'll never be able to access your grounded confidence when life shakes you. Okay? You're not a leader because you can bark orders. You're a leader when your nervous system stays calm while others are losing theirs, right? When your energy regulates the room without saying a word. Because really, what I've been talking about this whole time, sitting with yourself, practicing stillness, being present in the chaos, this isn't just about you finding, inner peace. This is really the foundation of masculine leadership. And see, what we've been lied to about is it means to lead as a man, you know? So we think leadership means talking the loudest, having all the answers, making the biggest moves, being 3 steps ahead all the time, right? But here's the truth that most men never hear. Masculine leadership doesn't begin with movement. It begins with presence. And presence is only built in stillness, right? You can't lead your woman, if her emotions throw you into, defensiveness. You can't lead your team if pressure turns you into a dictator. You can't lead your family if your nervous system collapses every time things get hard, right? Stillness is really the training ground. It's the mental gym where you really build your internal frame. It's the emotional forge where you learn how to hold weight without breaking. So you don't become a powerful man by learning how to speak louder. You become one by learning how not to flinch when the world gets loud. That's magnetic, right? That's trustworthiness. That's what makes people, especially the feminine, feel safe around you. So if your woman doesn't trust you, if your team doesn't follow you, if your kids don't feel, you know, grounded around you, it's not your strategy. It's about your presence, right? And presence comes from practice. That practice is stillness. So, because when a man can sit with himself, he doesn't need to control others. When a man can sit with his pain, he doesn't lash out when others project theirs. When a man, can sit with silence, he doesn't speak just to fill space. He he really speaks when it matters, right? This is why every truly grounded man, every king, every warrior, every peaceful leader throughout history was forged in silence long before he ever made a move. Movement without stillness is just reaction. But movement that begins in stillness, that's power. That's clarity. That's that masculine leadership we're talking about. That kind of power, it's not learned in a book. It's learned in stillness, right? Now look, I'm not asking you to become some Zen monk, right? This isn't about floating on a cloud or finding your spirit animal, right? This is about embodied masculine leadership. This is practice. This isn't soft. It's really strong as hell, right? It's the fire that refines you, not with not with force, but with presence. Because True masculinity isn't loud. It isn't reactive. It isn't hustling 24/7. Really, it's grounded, grounded, rooted, and clear. And that clarity starts in stillness. So if you've been watching this and you've been feeling stuck, unmotivated, burned out, on edge, like you're always just out of reach from who you could be, I want you to try something radical today, right? Don't do more. Sit still and listen. Because, really that voice that you've been drowning out with noise and performance, that's the one that will guide you home, right? And when you can finally sit with yourself, you become someone the world can trust to lead. And most importantly, you become someone you can trust, right? So if this landed with you, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. And share this with a fellow brother that might need to hear this. Don't forget, subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified whenever I release a new video. So, I also have free resources below that will help you start rebuilding from the inside out. These are tools that work, built for men just like you. So, hit subscribe for yourself, grab the tools, and reach out. Give me a follow too on social media. Links are in the description. Remember, you're not broken, you're becoming. I'll see you on the next video. Stay strong, brother.